I'm Fabio Gratton, Chief Innovation Officer of Ignite Health, and despite or beyond my love for my family and my two little chihuahuas, is my love for games. Made board game when I was 7, been designing computer games since I was 12, and today I'm going to talk to you about games and gamification of health. Now, I want to make sure that I accomplish 3 things today, even in these 20 short slides. I want to make sure that we fully understand the meaning of gamification. I want to make sure that I explain to you some of the models and mechanics at work. Then I want to introduce to you a brand new concept for how we can make this powerful for us in healthcare. So one of the things that we've looked at a lot is that people think of video games that have healthcare educational components as games for health. And as a matter of fact, they are. And oftentimes instead of blasting an alien, you're blasting a tumor with a chemotherapy gun. But that's not exactly what we mean by gamification. And then companies like Nintendo and Microsoft came up with an entire new way of engaging the user through these unique controllers that created a genre, a $1 billion industry called exergaming, where people suddenly were moving and dancing and getting true life benefits in healthcare. But that wasn't really gamification either. And then, as we've witnessed with the Fitbit challenge, there's an entire new type of technology made possible by the pervasiveness of mobile and wireless that all of a sudden has created what the chief ninja at Scavenger calls the game layer on top of our life. But is that gamification? And then one day I'm walking down the street and this woman says, "Come over here, ride this bike, and you get a free drink." Now, I don't like riding bikes that don't go anywhere, but I like free shit. And so I went over there and started riding the bike, and all of a sudden I realized that there's a sign there that says, "You're burning the 100 calories that the soda that you're going to get for free is going to cost." I've never been able to go to McDonald's since because it's going to take me 2 hours to get that back. And then the other day I opened the newspaper and I find out that gamers had solved one of the greatest protein modeling riddles of all time. And I go, what's going on? They had been rewarded with a countdown clock and they did it in 10 days with nothing but a leaderboard as their prize. And I say, what are all these critters? What are these rewards, these point systems, these countdown clocks? Well, what all of these things are is what we call game mechanics. And at the end of the day, if I want to accomplish nothing else here, I want to distinguish between game mechanics and games for health. Because it's game mechanics when applied to non-game environments. That is what gamification means. And it's looking at some of these elements, and for example, I'll look at one of my favorite ones, which is the countdown clock. I love the countdown clock. Remember playing Boggle or, with that little, sand hourglass, and it's like, oh my God, quickly, finish, find the letters, or Pictionary, come on, draw faster, that looks like crap. Well, those mechanics, when applied to companies like Groupon, throw in some badges, throw in some rewards, $1 billion industry. Not exactly. Because if it really just worked that way, if just throwing game mechanics into everything would make everything successful, then the idea of performing useless tasks like this game that was really to make a point about this, like beat an eggplant, annoy a rat, progress, then these things would be very helpful. But what they are helpful in doing is making a point that we need meaning. We need epic meaning in what we do, and games need epic meaning. And Nancy McMonigal's famous talk now, and her book, Reality is Broken, she says, if we don't look at how to apply the game mechanics to life, then we're not really going to be able to make people motivated to make the kinds of changes we want them to do. And the reality is, I ask us, is it possible? And did you know that 10,000 hours are spent before somebody turns 21 today playing video games? 10,000 hours. Now, if people are so into games, then maybe it's really possible. Maybe what we want to achieve can really be true epic change. And so she also, in her TED Talk earlier this year, and this is a true photography of people playing games on the verge of an epic win. An epic win, for those that don't know, is about to accomplish something that you previously thought was impossible, right? You've all felt that. Well, that epic win, that notion of epic meaning, is what I want to talk to you about today. Because game mechanics, you can Wikipedia that all day long and you can find a ton of things you could throw into your programs. But I want to introduce a concept that's simply an acronym from EPIC that are key core components that I believe everything should have if you're going to gamify health These are frameworks and filters to apply. The first one, experience. Well, if game mechanics are actors, the experience is the story, or if you will, the environment and the set that the story takes place. And I know a lot of you are in communication, but one of the most common flaws when it comes to gamification or applying game mechanics is that people forget that a good actor without a script still doesn't make a good movie. The second thing is purpose. Now, if we don't have purpose, people are driven by purpose, back to that epic meaning. Commonly, game mechanics can help you understand the progress you've made. Where am I? Little carrots, little rewards. But they are not the why we do what we do, and people need the why. One foundational component of any gamified system is incentives. Without an incentive, people, and again, I'm not talking about monetary incentives, I'm talking about incentives that help people move forward and have reasons, whether they be boost in self-esteem, to actually take a certain step and make a certain change. And last but certainly not least is the idea of catharsis. Now, a common level design in game is this idea of scaffolding and tiering challenges. One of the big problems in gamification is that people don't let you feel that moment when you level up. We have a huge opportunity to make gamification of health effective if we let people feel that release of tension and emotion, because that ultimately is the sugar pellet that will have people continuing to click that lever. So in closing, I want you to think about three things. One, gamification is not the same thing as video games with a healthcare bent. Number two, I want you to understand that the model that I presented, the EPIC model, it's simply a framework, a checklist, if you will, that if you're going to apply game mechanics into healthcare, make sure that you're looking at those because they can make or break a game design. And last but not least, good gamification, good application of game mechanics, you don't have to know it's there. It doesn't have to be visible. In fact, when it's really well done, you don't even know that it happened. For example, me riding a bike and all of a sudden being smarter about my healthy lifestyle choices. As I like to call it, I've been Miyagi'd. So go out there and let's Miyagi the world. Thank you.